Hey guys, welcome in this new video. I hope that all of you are doing great. So in today's video, we are taking a look at a trade that I closed during the first day of 2019, and that trade was also taken the first day of 2019. So that was a really short-term trade, and we will see what happened with it. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe down below, that way you don't miss any new videos coming out. Okay, so in today's trade breakdown video, we are taking a look at a trade that I closed actually yesterday on GBPUSD. That trade ended up as a really good trade. I made 3.2% growth of my account on one single trade and during the first trading day of the year, which is absolutely incredible, and it sets the momentum for the year. So initially that trade was more of a mid/long-term trade, but you will see why when we jump on the screen, but it actually turned out to be a short-term trade. Now, if you guys are unaware with the situation and what happened yesterday on the market, especially the Forex market and the three currencies, which are the British pound, the Australian dollar, and the Japanese yen, well, we basically saw a flash crash. Now, what is a flash crash? Well, a flash crash is basically when the markets just, go down very rapidly and make big moves. We will see that, like I said, when we jump on the chart, but basically it made a huge drop, and that is what we call a flash crash because it was not planned. Obviously, a crash is never really planned, and it happened so fast. And the thing to understand with the flash crashes, which they don't happen that often, but it's something that is part of trading, like we saw yesterday. We also saw a flash crash about 2 years ago. I don't know if many of you guys were already trading, but for those of you guys who were trading, you probably remember the flash crash that we saw also on the British pound about 1-3 years ago. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but about that time. And so that is what we saw basically yesterday on the markets. And I read some articles online and I looked at what other people were saying a little bit. And the thing to keep in mind when it comes to those situations is that we cannot explain at 100% very specifically what happened. And that's, the idea behind a crash, right? Like, it's never just one reason, and it's really hard to pinpoint something and just say, oh, it crashed because of that. Like, it's we need to go deeper than that to actually understand those crashes, and sometimes it's even impossible to know the one specific reason, and more oftentimes there's more than just one reason. So for example, we also saw the stock of Apple actually dropping a lot. I think now it's at 120, and before it was like at 150, so it dropped massively as well. Apple, the markets in the last few weeks, if we look at the S&P 500, for example, or other index, everything is pretty much down in that time of the year, especially right now as well. So those are just some of the reasons. It can also be caused by algorithm trading automatically with computers. So there are many reasons of why those crashes can happen. Here I just illustrated you guys some of the main reasons that I saw and that seem to make sense, but once again there could be other reasons for that, and it couldn't even not be what I just said. So it really depends on the situation. Every crash is different, obviously, and we will maybe learn more about it in the next few days, but as it stands right now, those are the main possibilities that could explain why it happened that way. If you guys would love to learn more about trading, how we trade, and work with us directly as well, you can check out the first link in the description box below, and it will bring you over to my website, which is my trading course, and there you will find all the information on how to join us. Alright, enough talking, let's jump on my chart. We will take a look at this trade. I will show you guys what happened with the crash and how everything went and how, well, everything about the trade basically. So let's go right into it. Okay, so we are now on my chart and let's take a look at this GBPUSD trade. Before we do so, let me just show you guys what happened with the flash crash on the other pairs, such as pairs who have the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, or the British pound involved, and you will see what happened, and you will see that on some of the pairs it dropped massively. So you can see here on GBPUSD it also dropped pretty hard, but that was not the hardest drop. So for example, in AUD/USD we saw something even more massive. So you see that it already retraced pretty much the whole drop, but we saw this big drop that happened very quickly. We can also take a look at USD yen, which also dropped massively. I mean, if we measure this, so if we measure this, it's basically 460 pips in in very small amount of time. So that was a massive drop as well. You can see how big it looks on the daily, right? So it was pretty big as well. It also retraced already a big portion of the movement. After, we can take a look at GBP yen, for example, which also dropped a lot. So you guys, you see now how it basically looks and how it went. And that move, we can go even on the lower time frame, but you will see how fast it went, right? In about, let's say 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, we were here and we finished there. So that happened really fast, and that's what we call a flash crash. Now, to come back to my trade in itself, let's take a look at this GBP/USD trade. As always, I will show you guys the analysis, the entry, the stop, the target, and a little bit of what happened, on the trade, basically. Now, just remember, guys, that in those videos, I'm just going over, the chart and the trade more in a general manner. I don't go too much into details because those type of videos are normally, and those type of analysis as well, are normally reserved for my students in Reversal Master. So if you guys would like to actually join us, like I said before, you can check out the first link in the description. So here I'm just giving you, the overall view and the general idea of the trade. So as always, let's start with the higher time frame, and we will see what we have here. So on the higher time frame, as you guys can see, we are basically getting here on the daily, we got this big pullback right here, which could be a correction in itself, and it could also just be a part of it. As of now, we don't know. But after that, we got this main impulse here, we got this correction. If we zoom in a little bit, we will see that after this correction, we got the breakout, and we made another correction here. So when we go on the lower time frame, this is when I started looking for the trade, when I saw that this was actually in the making. So we got the first wave here, we got the second wave here as a correction in itself, and we got the third wave here, which completes this three-wave pattern. Now remember that 3 waves doesn't mean that it's a classic flat pattern. There are other possibilities on how this could have developed. So when we actually broke this top right here, well, we had the confirmation of this pattern in the making. And after breaking this top, well, I simply waited to see, a sell setup and to see a potential opportunity that I could have taken. Now, when we go on the lower time frame, we see that this is the last wave up. We got after this impulse, and we got this nice correction. And when we actually broke out of the correction, I then took the trade right here. So that was my entry. As you guys can see, my stop loss was initially above this stop. I'll not go into the reasons of why, but basically, well, I'll just say one. Basically, here it could have developed into a bigger pattern and still drop after, which is why I had to put my stop here to manage my trade and not, get taken out of the trade before it even drops. So that's one of the reasons why. But after that, I moved the stop here when we got about these levels right here, and so that was my final stop before closing the trade manually. And then, well, you guys can see that it went very fast, right? That was a drop that happened, well, pretty much suddenly, because I took the trade about it. I think it was like midnight on Monday night. Yeah, Monday night about 11 to 12 p.m. And I closed the trade, well, yesterday night as well. So the trade did not even last 24 hours. Well, but you guys can see it right now. I took the trade here, and I closed the trade around those levels right here. Now, here's the flash crash and what happened yesterday. So basically, we saw this drop happening during the day, which was, you know, a normal drop. It went pretty aggressive as well, but nothing really, you know, crazy. Those type of movements, we see them often. Like we can see it, for example, here, here, and here, right? Sometimes those movements go faster than others. So this one, for example, was more slow. So this one went pretty fast. We got this small correction and then we started breaking out. Now, when the flash crash happened, I was actually eating and I came back to my charts and I saw this massive drop on the GBPUSD, and then I went on the other pairs and I also saw that, you know, some of them, like we just saw at the beginning, dropped massively. So this is when I really realized that, okay, there is something happening that is more important than just a regular movement on the market. And when I realized that, I went on in our trading group with, you know, all the other students and traders that we have here. And you guys, you know, they were already discussing about it. Everybody, you know, was looking at their trades and their charts. So I just said to everybody, let's jump on a call. So we were all together on a Skype call and we were just trading live together. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. For those of you guys who were there, you know what I'm talking about, but it was amazing. We took live trades, you know, together. Some of the students also just, you know, traded by their own and made profit as well, which is incredible. But basically, we traded the flash crash all together, and this is when we decided to close the GBP USD trade. So you guys saw that we actually broke the low right here, which was one of the main reasons why we decided to close the trade, because we know that when we break this low right here, it has a very important signification, not because it's a resistance or support or anything like that. Those are not things that we look at, but we look at patterns, right? And so when we break that low, it has this very specific and important meaning to us. And so when we broke the low and started reversing after, this is when we decided to close the trade. And we did not close the trade here because it could have just, you know, continued going down very much, because during a crash, well, you don't know how low it will go. So you want to wait a little bit to see how the markets will react after the flash crash. So that is exactly what we did, and at the end we ended up closing the trade about those levels here. So overall, that was a really good trade. Like I said, I made 3.2% of my account basically on the first day of the year, which is pretty good as well. So that is pretty much it when it comes to the trading itself. It was not a really complicated trade. The, you know, more complicated part was actually reacting to the flash crash, making sure, you know, we kept our emotions away from the market, making sure, you know, we were calm under pressure and all of those things, and making a rational decision during those times. And I think now that you guys can see that we actually did that pretty well, because we closed the trade at a pretty good level. We made a very nice profit here, and now, well, it's reversing a little bit. It could still go down depending on, you know, what structure it makes here after, but it could also totally reverse. So we will see which one of those two possibilities now we get, but both of them are possible. So that is pretty much it for the trade on GBP USD. We saw the analysis behind it, the entry, the stop. The main target also was a little lower than that. The target was around those levels here, not only because of the fib, but we have structurally and pattern wise this possibility right here. But then when we saw that it was reversing after breaking the low, which was another possibility as well, we decided to take out the trade. So that is it for the trade breakdown on GBP USD. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching once again. I hope that you like it and that you'll learn a lot of things about what happened with the flash crash, and also, well, my trade in general. So thank you for watching once again. Take care, trade with care, manage your money well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.